Hello and aloha to everyone. Time is 12:30 on the night, today 30th of August. Continuing this project, which I branched it in the title of Baha'i Faith in Canada to make it Canadianism essentially. And as I said in my previous videos, that I'm going to further magnify this reconstruction of the Baha'i Faith, which are these videos. I'm going to further magnify it and create Canadianism out of it. This Canadianism, the ideas that I'm bringing up, is manifestations of a person, whoever, that has studied Baha'i Faith and thinking in future, what would a country would look like in the future that where majority of the people are Baha'is. It is one of those essential elements in the world order of Baha'u'llah that Shoghi Effendi calls it Baha'i government. These Baha'i governments are naturally or not universal laws of justice or universal laws of guardianship or national or local governments. These business is all a spiritual business. It has nothing to do with this Baha'i government. Baha'i governments, where the Baha'is, they form the government, just as they elect a member of the national and local assemblies, they also elect and participate in elections of a Baha'i government, where majority of the voters and participants are Baha'is. But in any case, it is separate from the Baha'i administration or world order of Baha'u'llah. It's a branch of it, it's different. And that principles of the Baha'is do not interfere in the politics applies. Which means the member of the National Spiritual Assemblies or National House of Guardianship, they do not interfere in the business of the Baha'i government and the people that are running it. However, the politics of it, if you could use the word politics, is nothing like what we know. Ideologies are one. People are elected based on their own merit and services. Otherwise, they follow basically the same protocol. Although as the Baha'is, we could have different views and different visions, and we must, of how an economy in the country should run. The Baha'i economy could completely be different in one country to another. Or even sometimes the social order could be different. In a country there could be basically a republic, let's say, in which there is no kings, and in another country the system could be carried by the parliamentarian kingdom, monarchies. So you could have people of England to become Baha'i, but they still have their kings, and people of the United States or Canada not to have any kings. So the social order and economical order will be different in the Baha'i government of the future. So I imagine I am a Baha'i living in future in one of these countries, and as we Baha'is are, we are told that any modern views, anything that is good for mankind, for faith of God, for the people, could become a part of the Baha'i faith. In that case, we do not propose an overhaul of any system, such as Canada or United States or any country, but rather we study and see what are the good and essential elements, positive, that are good for people, and we take it from there and continue to rebuild the country in towards progressive steps. So I've been speaking to you about those the residents of Canada, which I divided to the natives, Anglo-Saxon, Quebecers, the French, and the minorities. And I've given some ideas that how these things have to come together definitely to create a Baha'i government, or a government that is totally based on logic and reason for the future, in which does not have these problems that we have right now facing in Canada. The members of it have to be totally acquainted with the Baha'i faith. In such countries, the Baha'i families are there, and mankind grows in the social womb of the Baha'i family, and they are very strong individuals with a great spiritual power. Simply you cannot take one element and leave the other ones, it won't work. So in continuing these issues, based on what I give an introduction, I'm going to be talking today about the repopulating Canada and immigration policies. So we always talk, this is our slogan in Canada, that Canada based on love, based on service to humanity, based on protocol of freedom, protections of the oppressed. This is the policy of immigration, that we accept refugees, those who are suffering, they're under persecutions in the other countries. We say that we like to help them and bring them here, and this has been the case. But I think we have to also turn the page around and say that there are also people in the world that they could help Canada. Not just do we help them, but they can help us. We should let those kind of people that they have ideas and they want to help Canada to come in this country as well. So right now this process of immigration, oh my God, is so sluggish and it just takes forever time. The bureaucracy of it is most pathetic of anything that has been anywhere in the world, I would say. It's just for Canadian system, such a vibrant, progressive, evolved system, things should not take that long at all in accepting or rejecting somebody. I've always said in so many years that I've been around, I would suggest, besides the Constitution of Canada, let's put something together called Canadianism, which is a protocol, which is the prime directives that defines Canada. It is like the grammar of a social language that's spoken, and now we're creating a grammar for it. A language first is spoken, like English, was spoken for a long time. Then somebody came after, I don't know, so many thousand years after, they came and created a grammar for it. And based on that grammar, then the new words formed and were created. So we have come together in Canada spontaneously, together with somewhat personal plans and a government. But let's create that protocol and prime directives that based on that we bring people in Canada a lot faster. That way they have to sign the bottom of those principles that they would have to come to Canada. And if they're lying about it, they will be automatically deported and no one can help them, just like drinking and driving. If the man says that I have no criminal records from a country that we cannot and we do not know how to obtain that, or he doesn't have health issues, we'll tell him you're welcome, come here. Because if we think, okay, there are known health factors that we're going to watch and care, sure. But there could be lots of other ones that we do not know, and this guy carries it here. I mean, those chances are there. But if the person says that he knows that he doesn't have any sickness and he doesn't have any criminal records, then we tell him to sign here and come here. But we emphasize, for example, that he has to pass English language, a minimum. If he has a degree or a trade, whether it is electrical or plumbing, whether it is law or teaching or whatever, tell him that this is the system of Canada and you have to translate and transfer that into this system, provide them in the embassies for them that they can go through, and if they pass that and they sign that, let them just coming in fast, because we need to repopulate this country. This is in the case of the places that we're not very sure. There's no record in this kind of countries for us to trace. But these things will not help what is in my mind about the repopulations of Canada. I think I'm going to use the word exodus. We just need to bring a large amount of people, really large, big populations. How about 100,000 at a time? How about 200,000 at a time? 50,000 at a time? So, because per capita we are really have no population in this country. Those of us who are stuck in Vancouver, in Toronto and Montreal and a couple of other bigger cities like Winnipeg and Edmonton and Calgary. Is there another one? No. We are stuck there and we don't travel around. But if we do, let's say from Toronto, we'll go right up north past the Sudbury, 3 hours north, and after that you can go 20 hours and you don't find no populations. You're doing just up from Sudbury, where Algonquin Park is, there's no population there. I don't know, between Sudbury and between Sault Ste. Marie and Thunder Bay, was like 9 hours. There's no cities. This is 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. The whole population above Sudbury, except for Sault and Thunder Bay, does not amount to more than 100,000 people. That's really no population. We just simply do not have enough taxpayers. These roads are large and we need more taxpayers. We need to create that. This, in my opinion, requires exodus of people to come here. How about 100 million? That's a good number. If we let go on like this, and we bring a lot of people from the cultures that they have not originally built Canada, such as people of my own original country, Iran, we would not know what the future of Canada will be. Because the visions of Iranian or other minorities from Canada drastically differs from others, and we have no experience to know what would they look like. For example, when the English people, they come here, they think of England, okay, or French people, they think of France, Italian think of Rome. Are they Indian thinking of Mumbai or Peking or Tehran? These are not very good cities, and these are not very good systems. I'm sure every minority, they agree with me, and they might differ in their opinion with me that they don't think like them. But our culture, which we carry, some of us very staunchly, it will emanate in and manifest itself in what we are going to be built in the material world, and the calls and everything else. You can clearly see Toronto's standard of living, social strata, is very different from other places, in Canada, a smaller community. It's not any more English as it was. So I think definitely it's of a lower standard. Even the behavior of the police is different. Behavior of the officials, those who run, it's a little bit different, substandard. Okay, we can't let this go, and this happens for the sake of everyone. In that case, we better, just for the safety, to keep the original populations of the English and French here, and essentially Europeans. How about 50 million Americans to come down here? From where? From Texas, from Arizona, from Georgia, Virginia, all those places. Now, I'm not saying they all have to be white Anglo-Saxon, it could be anybody. But if we chip the trend more in the Anglo-Saxon race, we're pretty sure that the country will carry on the same way it is. But if it is others, we don't know. Definitely the people of Europe, to be the balance of the power and balance of democracy, as its French have done this year, they could cut a lot of them, they can come down here from Europe. And once we have that, let's go on. Bring these wonderful people from China and India. They're the two most magnificent builders. But we have to carry the original protocol, okay? And that was set by the English and French here. So, when I talk, of course, about these things, they say that, so, Mr. Tony, you're an idealist, and you're thinking like this is Alice in Wonderland, and you can just ask the people, come right over. Without thinking, if they come down here, they need hospitals, they need roads, they need jobs, and if you can't have those things for them, they become burden on our country. Then we have to change our system because we cannot provide those things, and we start to break down. Well, of course I'm aware of those things, I'm 55 years old, 27 years a businessman in this country. If I didn't become a millionaire, believe me, it's because of my choice. Otherwise I could. So, question, comes if you want to bring these people here. If they're different in their ideologies, Americans are a little bit, should they come down and let's say at Point Pelee, right here at Lake Erie, you change that 2,000 population to 1 million. Big, huge city. These guys, they could just vote to get separated from Canada because democracy allows it. The answer to that is that we have to have that Canadianism written down and make sure people are coming here, they understand it, and they sign it, okay? Now, then they're fine. And this is not the time of separation. The trend of mankind, especially among the European people, Anglo-Saxon people, is more to get together than getting separated, as we have seen the trend in Europe. This is the fears of Americans, that they want to keep their federal government strong, which they think if they don't, all these states, they want to get separated. Actually, it's too late for the states to get separated. They won't. They actually converge in a different manner together. This, overprotections of what we have in our mind is not actually going to work. This fear is groundless. But there are other questions. So, how are we going 100 1,000, 200,000 people to populate in a fast. I think the government first, democratically, if they pass this idea, the parties, they get elected, they can create a minister of repopulations. This minister sends people offices, let's say, put advertisement in the United States, say those who want to come to Canada, this point system that we have is all abolished. If you're healthy, you want to come to Canada, you have $100,000 minimum, come over. Then the government can, by these 100,000 people having $100,000, it creates gigantic factories of all kinds, which they have another ministry called Ministry of Sales. They can go around the world and find out what kind of a product can be made in Canada based on our natural resources that we could sell to the rest of the world, just as Chinese do. If we are putting ourselves in their shoe, we become innovative. Okay? So what can we sell to other countries in the world? Based on the natural resources that we have, then we bring the people in there and create those factories. By their money, we will relax on the land, we give it to them. We build the house, the cities, based on Canadian standard. We tell them, now you own this factory. It's all yours. You put your money in it, you run it. You decide what the wages are going to be. It's yours. You can get $20 an hour or $15 an hour, and at the end of the year, the extra shares is yours. It can be given to you. Let's say you're taking all $20 and the year end the company has made a profit of $1 billion. Then they can send to all of you as shareholders as a bonuses. Or you can estimate that the money is going to be bigger than that. But whatever it is, we get this hand of the corporation's hand, as a classically we have, out of it, and we let them to operate. So if they want to keep their jobs, they keep it. So if the productivity goes down because sales is not there, instead of saying, okay, 10,000 has to be laid off, no, we keep the 10,000 and we say your wages from 20 has to come down to 17 and $15. But we're going to keep everybody at work. Once we sold more, we go on more. So we don't fire or lay off half the population or half of the workers. Let them decide for themselves in their voting system to carry on. We could do this, or we should. Now, all of a sudden, we have a city of 10,000. You want to start with a smaller number, bring 10,000, bring 20,000. This is working, man. Go on. There are people in the world who have big monies. They like to invest in Canada, whether they're from India, they're from China, and other places. They have a different sets of a standard for creations of the jobs and this and that. We could do this in a different way. It's been happening in Dubai. I visited Dubai. It's a very strange little town. This little city of 400,000 actual residents of Dubai has close to 600,000 to 700,000 people as a visitor, as a worker. The city is really occupied by the foreigners. And under the management of this most marvelous politicians, Sheikh Mohammed of Dubai, everything is intact. We could learn a few things from him, see how to do it. So I'm suggesting, why don't we create or legislate, bring the ideas up first. These things can be spoken in the television programs and the radios and so on, and gradually to be advertised to see what people think about it. Why don't we extend